What fictional death hit the hardest? John Coffey in The Green Mile. Cry like a baby every time. Man, that one gets me too. Back when I was a teenage boy, this was the first time I had ever cried because of a movie. Was the same for me. Me too. Exclamation mark. Man, that busted me up. Fred. Agree. Yeah, this one fucking hurt. Man, I'm almost tearing up just thinking about it. Oh god damn it. I was having a good night. True story. When I was 4, I gutted myself running with a knife. One of my older brother's friends found me passed out with blood everywhere and carried me home. Hadn't seen him since grade school. Fast forward 20 years and I get a job back closer to home, and it just so happens the guy works at the same place. He's a big goofy bastard and sweet as could be. Come to find out, his nickname at work is Coffee, after John Coffey from Green Mile. Please boss, don't put that thing over my face, don't put me in the dark. I's afraid of the dark. God damn, I wept for minutes. It just got to me. Definitely this one. Still cry every time I watch it. Please don't put the hood on me, sir. I's afraid of the dark. Michael Clarke Duncan broke me with this performance. I was 9 when it came out and my mind couldn't comprehend why nobody saved him even when he showed Tom Hanks' character the truth. It was maddening. Oh fuck, you're gonna make me get allergies again. That's why I'm tearing up. Yep. I've only seen the movie twice. First time I couldn't stop crying for like an hour. I have no idea why it hit me so hard. I watched it again like a year later and it wasn't as long because I knew it was coming, but it still fucked with me and I broke down. Haven't watched it since. Don't know why, but it really fucks me up for a while after, and I don't want to feel anything, so it's been like 10+ years since I've seen it. I would say that this is for sure my number one. Struggling to hold it together when he gets in the chair and then the camera cuts over to Barry Pepper, who is clearly doing his best to not sob. Kills me every time. But then I became a parent and now I cry at everything. If you liked The Green Mile, you may like Just Mercy. It was a really raw and emotional movie that told the story of a real-life death row case in Alabama. It hits all the same emotions as John Coffey's death. Just read this a few weeks ago and goddamn. That is so true. I watched that with my parents and brother. He was 9. He was crying harder than I've ever seen him cry. God dang it. Yeah, that just came out of nowhere. Came here to say that. Honestly, just thinking about it breaks my heart. Also, Del. They didn't have to do him like that. That makes me cry too. This is the one. I have never cried harder in my entire life than when I saw this. Can't bring myself to watch it again. OMG, people of Reddit need to get over that already, dude. There's plenty of other sad movies out there aside from Green Mile. Sometimes I think that that's all you people watch. When Wilson floats away. He's not even real, but Tom Hanks was just so good in the whole movie, but especially here. I'm sorry, Wilson's sad face. This wins. Not only is it a fictional death, but it's a goddamn volleyball. I was more partial to the tree man he hung from the cliff, but yeah, Wilson cut deep. Yes. How did we get so emotionally invested in a ball? Yes, when poor Wilson drifted away, that kinda stung, dude, I ain't gonna lie. I'm about to cry, bro. Tom is a fucking amazing actor. One of the best actors of all time. Way too opinionated when it comes to politics though. Wish he would shit his mouth sometimes. Hanks supports same-sex marriage, environmental causes, and alternative fuels. Yeah. Sounds like a fucking monster s. You sound like a real fucktard pal. Cheers, mate. From you, that's the perfect compliment. Yeah, that was oddly emotional because it's just a damn volleyball, but it was his only friend. And then he finally gets off the island and learns that his wife moved on and is with someone else. The whole movie is just fucking sad. Or forgot about Wilson's sad face. Yeah, this gets me every time. They had to do it for the story. What would have happened if Wilson didn't die? Tim Hanks would still be friends with a volleyball when there are real people around. Introduces family and friends to Wilson. I cry every time. Master Oogway. My time has come. Don't worry, he sacrificed himself for the Soul Stone. It was a noble cause. Au contraire, his death has been transformed into one of the best meme templates man has to offer. Ironic. The meme template after you said this. My time has come. Knew my favorite meme template. Oogway was full of BS. He easily defeated Long and still refused to do it again. Oogway, Sienna, you saw that thing you did some years ago. Nah, I'm a die better lol. Pretty sure that if he did it, Poe would get nowhere, as the sacrifice of Oogway meant Poe would have to train to defeat I Lung. If he did it, then he'd still die of old age soon after, and no one would have the experience needed next time a big threat emerged. Mufasa. I watched The Lion King with one of my kids yesterday. It still packs a sadness punch. Fuck you, Scar. It was way worse to watch my son the first time he really realized that there was something wrong with Mufasa and that Simba was sad. That scene always gets me, but watching my son feel it was brutal. IDK how I watched that movie when I was a kid. I can't watch it as an adult, it just kills me. Why is this so far down? I mean, it has to be either Mufasa or Bambi's mom. Violently orphaned protagonists in a kid's movie. That's cold Disney. Cried watching this initially. Lost a parent to aneurysm, after which I couldn't wake them up. I can no longer watch this film, it will devastate my day, if not week. He was friggin' murdered. WTF Disney. Losing Mufasa taught me what death was, and I'll never get over that feeling as a child. It changed me. If I have kids one day, that'll be an interesting movie to introduce them to. Definitely. Too much. I don't remember ever caring about Mufasa's death. I just never got attached to his character. I think most people care about Mufasa's death because of his role for Simba, who everyone get attached to. Nah, the real tragedy is Scar's death. That shit'll always make me shed half a tear. I know. Scar was a great imposing villain. In 1994. 2019 he looks like a malnourished crackhead. Oop. That was released on video shortly after my dad died as a kid, and on my first therapy appointment about it they had the movie on during the death scene in the waiting room. I was old enough to know that was a fuck up on their part, but too young to feel confident in complaining. Mamor Coco. Your papa loved you, Mamor Coco. He loved you so much. And at that moment she remembered Elena's name. I cried in the pictures watching this scene. Still chokes me up when she starts singing along. I cried in the pictures watching this scene. Still chokes me up when she starts singing along. It's not uncommon for me to tear up during movies, but man, I full on cried for this movie in the theater. All the kids were looking at me like I was crazy, but I was just thinking, bitch, come back to this movie when all of your parents have died and then tell me how you feel. Especially if you've watched them all completely forget who they are and who all of the people around them are. This movie made me miss my parents more than anything else ever has. The first time I saw this movie was soon after my dad passed from early onset Alzheimer's, and he was a musician who loved play guitar. I had no idea what I was in for when we started watching it. I had to turn the movie off in the middle of the scene. I just wasn't mentally prepared, and I was also on a plane. Took me a couple weeks to actually watch the whole movie. Then That Love for Each Other Will Live On Forever song played. First time I cried in a movie from happiness. Always saw people react to happiness and cry, never understood how, why. Took 30+ years for this to happen, and it was at this scene. There was also the end in Up where he pins in the grape soda Ellie Award, but I had cried so many times throughout the movie every time that music started playing like Pavlovian response that I think he could have farted in the kids' breakfast and cue that music, I would have started crying. This scene in Coco came as a total surprise. Finally got to experience the happy vapors, and it wasn't getting married, the birth of either of my kids, but an animated movie I saw in the theater with my kiddos and had to explain to both of them why they saw Daddy full on crying for the first time. Love that movie. OMG, I was not expecting to sob so much from Coco. Legit was thrown off by all of the emotional scenes, and the ending legit made me ugly cry. Story time. Coco came out around the time my husband's favorite uncle passed away from cancer. Mama Coco also looked exactly like his nana, his dad and uncle's mom. My husband really wanted to see it, but I was like, do you know what this movie is about? He said he was fine and it was just a movie. Near that part, my husband held onto my hand and then that line happened. I haven't seen my husband cry that much since his nana passed away while we were in college. We have a similar story. We took my little cousin to see Moana just before the first Christmas since our parents died, thinking it would be a feel-good family film. Moana's mother died and me, my siblings, and my dad were absolutely bawling in the cinema, sat next to a bewildered 4-year-old who's just enjoying the colorful scenes and catchy music. I clearly heard those lines. Couldn't see a damn thing, though, what with all that wet blurry picture during the last 30 minutes. That was to be expected though, and it was a very wholesome moment. Coco is my favorite Pixar movie. Okay, Trist. That was the first time I cried in a cinema. When she remembers and then she dies, and I'm crying just remembering it. Yeah, I watched the movie like 100 times, but it still gets me tearing up. Ned Stark. Never read any of the books, so it came as a complete shock. Never read the books, got into the show. Seemed like it was Ned's show. I recall thinking, who is going to rescue him? Then thwack. Biggest WTF moment on TV for me. I recall thinking, who is going to rescue him? First Sean Bean role you saw, eh? It was, actually. My husband did read the books but didn't say a peep. He's a keeper. I never read the books, and my first reaction to that scene was, I don't know what I expected. LMAO, it's Sean Bean. The biggest twist would surviving to see the end of the story. But this is the earliest he has died, right? Most people might think he might die, but towards the end. That was the twist. You expect Bean to die somewhere near the climax, so having him done in so quick is a twist itself. Lol, Sean Bean always dies early. But when I watched it, I thought it would be different. By season 2 I realized to expect everyone's death and be happy when someone survives. After Rob's death they stopped killing protagonists. The one time they decided to kill a protagonist, they revived him the episode after. Bastards. There was a guy the first knew in grad school who thought the thing with Sean Bean was that he was a bad guy in every role he's in. Hated the guy, grated on my every nerve. Doesn't Sean Bean mostly die in the end and not in the beginning? So most people would think he would die last season. I had the same reaction. They killed the main character in the first season. I was like, so this is HBO? Well, I don't think TV producers have the balls to greenlight that for original scripts even on HBO. In this instance they had to because of the source material. What's surprising to me is that what GRRM did felt so new. An audience should be surprised by stories. An author's challenge is surprising them, but doing so in a way that still makes the surprises feel inevitable and not contrived for shock value. Here's to seeing more moments like these in the future. All of my WTF TV moments take place within GOT. Every week watching it live, you think this can't get any worse. It can always get worse. It can always get worse. You just described Season 8. I watched a Sean Bean Dies compilation on YouTube before watching GOT, and I swear I thought he died by being pulled apart by horses in a village. That was a different movie. So at the end of Season 1 I kept thinking, it's a fake out, he's gonna pop up again sometime, because that's not how he really dies. I was really confused halfway through Season 2 when I realized nope, he really is dead. Heck, I read the books and I agree. I picked up GOT in high school and Ned was built up so much as the stereotypical honorable fantasy hero that up until the very last moment I thought he would escape somehow. This made me realize why I disliked the GOT series. The series reflects the same injustice, cruelty, and bullshit of the real world, so in watching it I never experienced that escape from reality that makes movies and dramas entertaining. I told you it was a mistake to trust me. Ugh. He completely fucked Ned over. It's almost surprising that he never tries to sexually assault Sansa. I think the only people he actually loved was Catelyn and Sansa. At least in the books he seemed genuinely distressed when Catelyn died. God, his death though was so satisfying. Yo, he had one of the least satisfying and most anticlimactic deaths in the entire fucking show though. Dunno, I honestly really wasn't expecting it at the time. Like I was hoping but was worried about the whole thing. Then she said his name and I was all, oh, it's on. It was very satisfying. That sudden moment when Sansa says his name, then Arya's quick throat slash seemed perfect for him. A beheading, he could have mentioned Ned and got the last laugh. Poison would have been boring, torture would have been boring. I did warn you not to trust me. When a character is played by Sean Bean, is it really a shock? Lol, it's true. In my defense, and because I never read any of the books, I figured Sean Bean was the main character. Towards the end of Season 1 when he's about to die, I thought to myself there's no way they're going to kill off the main character. Instantly pissed tears of joy. If it makes you feel any better, I read the books first and that was the first time I've ever audibly yelled at a book. I refused to read on for about 4 months when GOT came out as I hit that scene. I can relate to being so angry at the book. Brilliant move to let Sean kill me now. Bean play the character, give everyone a heads up that this character isn't gonna live. Every now and then he just goes to jail for life. Yes, because Sean Bean usually makes it till the end before dying. People who know this thought he might die in the last season. Robb Stark's death came out of nowhere too. When the doors shut, the music changes and Cat finds out that Lord Bolton is wearing armor. I'd read the book series long before watching the TV series. The Red Wedding was obviously a huge massacre, but the whole book, A Storm of Swords, was like that. By the time I'd reached the end, I felt stunned. It felt as though half the major characters had been abruptly removed. As that was the third book out of 5 at the time, I honestly wondered where the next 2 books could go if they'd lost so many of the main characters. Catelyn Stark for me. She was the bond that held that family together, and she was so strong. She wouldn't even go down without a fight. Slit the girl's throat and accepted it herself. My brain exploded at that moment. It's too bad the show didn't bring her back the way the books did. I would have loved Lady Stoneheart in the show. I still remember the day I first saw that episode. I was watching on my laptop at the dining table and was just shocked. My mom walks in 10 minutes after the episode ended, sees my face and asked me who died. She doesn't watch God. One of my friends thought the show was getting cancelled, so the writers decided to kill off the protagonist. Knowing Sean Bean's characters, I knew it was coming. Makes me well up every time. I think it would have been more of a shock if it was a different actor. Sean Bean's characters don't seem to last long. This and Hodor. Hodor was more of a sad but still stunning amazement how they tied his name and plot together. Both deaths are part of the best moments in TV for me. He was played by Sean Bloody Bean. How could his death have come as a shock? I have never read the books or seen the series apart from a few clips, but I was not surprised when I heard Ned Stark died. Sean Bean characters do not have a good survival rate. Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy, he was the blue guy that was like a father to Star-Lord. The music choice and visuals were really sad and it was really emotional crying. I'm Mary Poppins Yal. Yeah, definitely shed a tear for Yondu. I'm so glad he got a Ravager funeral. Someone is cutting onions in here. Yeah, I held it together right up until the fireworks. Yes. There was such a range of emotion in that movie, specifically regarding him. An amazing redemption arc, and watching the lights was just loudly crying. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. I can usually hold it together during his death but lose it when Kraglin salutes as the Ravagers show up to give Yondu a proper funeral. This is what happens to me every time I watch this movie too.